Hi, I'm here today. Excuse my dogs; they're my buddies. But I'm here today to talk about a little bit about my life and how I came to meet Gary and some stuff that he has brought into my life that has drastically helped me, and I foresee it really continuing to go down a positive stretch in life. Um, I'm 50 years old. I did just over 20 years in the United States Army. I was an Army Ranger. I was an air assault instructor. I was in quite a few different special ops units. What I'm trying to say is I was a very much a go-getter, hard charger. You know, growing up in the military in the early 90s, not when I joined in 91, there was still Vietnam era upper echelon leaders, and you know, the whole mindset was kill them all and let God sort them out. But you know, just to kind of, you know, pretense that. Well, I had a successful career, and I decided to retire because the kids were getting older. My wife spent 18 and a half years of my military career with me, so it was a family decision, and that's what brought me to Washington and why we're still here in Washington. Well, I wasn't done serving, and I still wanted to be around the team mentality, and so I decided to go into law enforcement. So the day I officially retired from the Army, I was officially hired into my first job as a police officer, and I was with that and went through the academy, no problems. I was with that agency for about 13 months, and it was a smaller agency, and they didn't have really a whole lot of they didn't have any specialty teams and things that I was looking for to broaden myself. So I ended up lateraling to a sheriff's office, a larger sheriff's office, and became a deputy. And I did that. And once again, I had an opportunity to better myself and my family. At this point, it was financially. So I was invited to apply at an even larger sheriff's office, and I did that, and that's the sheriff's office that I retired out of medically due to a line of duty injury. So during my tenure in law enforcement, I did everything from I was on one sheriff's office SWAT team, and then the sheriff's office that I finished with, I went a different direction. I was a rescue diver, the sheriff's office dive rescue team, swift water technician, high angle, low angle rope recovery specialist. I was an FBI certified and trained hostage negotiator. I was on their CERT team, the quick reaction team. I was a field training officer. So I mean, my point being is I did a lot, and I loved staying busy, and I basically in my mind, your reputation is everything, and I don't think there would be anybody that would ever have anything negative to say about me, other than sometimes I get grumpy. But always had a smile on my face, very always looking forward to going to work. And then one day, September 9th of 2020, I responded to assist on a call of a robbery that occurred at a Home Depot. And the male subject fled and ended up carjacking a pregnant female at knife point and forced her to drive him to a local area not too far away from the Home Depot that we are very familiar with, and have quite a few incidents that occur there. Basically, he ditched out from the car and took off on foot, and the foot pursuit began. So it was myself it was a multi-agency ordeal at this point. We even had a dog team tracking, and he was hopping fences and ended up in this trailer park. In pursuit of him, I slipped in a dry drainage ditch and slid about 4.5 to 5 feet and flat hit with all my weight on my right leg which broke my tibia and my fibia and completely tore my foot off of the growth plate bone and put it sideways. It was the worst pain I had ever experienced in my life. So needless to say, that was the beginning of the end for me. It's not at that point. I didn't know it. I thought, oh, I'm gonna have surgery and I'll rehab, and because I've had other injuries. I almost lost this hand right here to a dog bite. Fortunately, they were able to save it. I've had this shoulder completely reconstructed from a military operational injury. I broke my right ankle, not as bad as my left ankle. So I mean, I'm a I've had a lot of issues and it's because I've always been a go-getter, and I was that 45-year-old out jumping 6-foot fences with the 23-year-old deputies, while my peers are sitting on perimeter. I didn't want to sit on a perimeter of a track or anything like that. I wanted to be a part of the team and make sure that everybody was safe and we all go home at the end of our shifts. So I ended up having surgery on September 10th. I ended up with a plate and 9 screws in my ankle. 2 long screws like this up the inside of my ankle, and then 7 screws up my leg. Pretty nice scars. I was wheelchair bound for 6 weeks. The guys from the sheriff's office, my buddies, came and actually built me a wheelchair ramp so I could get out of the house because they know I hate sitting in the house. So I then proceeded to go into, and I thought, okay, this is no, I've never had this happen before. I started my physical therapy. That lasted 12 weeks, and my physical therapist, we weren't making progress. In fact, I was in so much pain and so much discomfort, and I would come home and after doing that and have to lay down in bed and just about go to sleep and try and just mentally block it out. My physical therapist, who was a lead physical therapist, he wasn't just a tech, he was the one that was basically the manager of the facility, really nice guy. One day he's like looking on his computer at some stuff, and I thought he was just like looking at new regimens for me to do something with recovery. And he goes, I really think that you need to contact your doctor immediately, because I think you have what they call CRPS, and that's chronic regional pain syndrome. And I was like, oh. And so he gave me some paperwork, printed out some paperwork for it, and so I took his advice and I got back to my doctor. Well, for the next almost 2 years, okay, today is August 26th of 2022. June 30th, last month, I medically retired from the sheriff's office because I've been deemed I cannot work, I cannot return to my duty position, and I cannot work anything less than I can only do less than sedentary work, and unfortunately that means I can't be gainfully employed. That's pretty hard, that's a pretty hard pressed thing to tell a guy who is very responsible in life, has a wife, 2 grown children, that a very tight family, and the fact that for the past almost 2 years, I have been in the most horrific pain on a daily basis, that there's days that I just contemplated things. They call CRPS the suicide syndrome. I completely understand why, because I've been there. Okay, I'm also a disabled vet, and so I carry PTSD already from what I did prior. I take medication for that. My dogs are my, they're my saving grace. This is Cinnamon. She's my 6.5-year-old red female. And then I got Zeke over there. Named him Zelensky after the Ukrainian president. But we call him Zeke. He's the puppy gooch. He's the new addition because we lost during this time. I had a 8.5-year-old blue male Doberman who went through an 11-month battle with cancer, and ultimately he lost. But I put him down while he still had his dignity. So, and he was that one dog in life that was just near and dear. I love these guys, but he was that one. So here I am. I'm having to go to all these doctors, and I'm dealing with labor and industries and independent medical examiners and pain specialists. And I mean, it's so bad that I had a sympathetic nerve block done, and it did nothing for me. We sold our hot tub because I can't use it because the heat, the hot. Was taking cold showers. Can't sleep with any sheets on top of my ankle touching me. And it's not just my ankle. It moved into my entire body. I'm prickly, pins and needles throughout my body. Very gut-wrenching zingers that a lot of times would hit so hard that when I wake up in the morning, my sternum hurt. Sweat out of the blue profusely. Just come on. I was at times changing my shirt 2 to 3 times a day, and I kept a blood pressure cuff, by my table, and I would check my blood pressure to make sure I don't have high blood pressure. Blood pressure was fine. My central nervous system was compromised. My body was still thinking that I was completely injured, and it was fighting it. It just was. It was very hard. It put me in a very deep, dark place. My wife was concerned for me. A lot of times she could tell I was getting down. I do what I could do until I couldn't. But it's almost like an electric car. You charge up that car and you think, you're going to get 400 miles, okay? Well, when you hit 350, 375, the car starts dinging. And I basically, on a daily basis, my batteries ran out. And so I was good on my feet for 2 to 3 hours a day, just not all at once. 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there, half hour here. And if I pushed it, it may take me a day and a half to recover. And so I used to be, I'm 6'2". I carried a weight of about 235, 238. Through the last 2 years, because I haven't been able to be me and be very active. I mean, I run 2 to 5 miles 2 to 3 times a week, work out. The weight has just kind of come. I'm working now on reversing that. And then long story short, I was ready to. I told my wife, I'm going to give this 5 years, and that's from the start. And then I'm taking this limb off from the knee down. At least then, in my mind, I won't have the irritator in place that basically then fires everything else off, because it's horrific. You want to talk about torturing somebody, forget waterboarding somebody. Give them CRPS, a high dose of CRPS, and they will break every time. I mean, I'm a grown man and very outgoing. My wife says I'm the best handyman that she's ever known because I know a little bit about a lot. And so she would even always brokering me out to her friends to fix stuff, and that's stopped because of this. Now, there came a point where friends of mine basically found out about my situation, and they happened to be friends with Gary. Well, Gary's at this point in my life is the best thing that has happened to me, because I was basically prepared to live this life, at least up until the 5-year mark, and then I was gonna amputate from the knee down, because I figured, I know I'm gonna have the ghost pains. I can get through that a whole lot easier, okay? Because then the ghost pains will subside, and heck, it can't be any worse than what I'm dealing with now. I mean, I don't want to kill myself because I have too much to live for, but there were days that I was like, why? And I break down with my wife emotionally, and we had some good cries over the past, 2 years, almost 2 years, and she's really been my rock, and it, so meeting Gary, he goes, I have something for you. And basically, I kind of knew that it was like something to do with laser frequency technology, okay? He shows up and he's full of spit and vinegar and just really not even, how are you feeling? Where do you hurt? And it just very, I call him kind of a fast mover, okay? And I was like, okay, well, let's see where this goes. Well, he got some bracelets on me, and I had already given him my ankle sizes, and so I have the frequency bracelets on each ankle. And if you go back to this ankle, you can see that this is the inside scar, and there's some swelling, but it's not. It used to really be even more horrific. And then if we can, Gary, show this side.
Oh yeah.
Okay. So, a lot of people have broken ankles and have scars. That's not the issue. I can live with that. The issue was the CRPS, okay? And my wife was saying, like, she felt like I was getting worse. But now, I'm going to give you my heartfelt testimonial on this laser frequency stuff. And it has brought me out of a dark shell. And I am hopeful, and listening to Gary, who's got the experience, that he thinks I'm going to get even better down the road. And I believe him, because at this point, my wife looks at me and goes, I have my husband back. And I get up every day. I actually have a purpose. Now, do I still have to take breaks and take it easy at times? Yes, I do. But this is, I don't even, as far as amputating my leg now, I can live like this. I don't need to amputate it. When you go from living on a pain scale of every single day of your life, you're in the 8, 9s, and 10s by midday, and in tears going to sleep at night, and you don't want to take that oxy, but you do, because it's the only thing that just takes the edge off, and it still doesn't completely help, because I didn't want a higher dose. I just needed, and I don't want to be on the oxys. And so I haven't taken an oxy in a week and a half, 2 weeks, probably since, the first got introduced to this. I'm loving it. I'm able to, the pain is different now. I'm not in agonizing, just debilitating pain anymore. I am more, my ankle's more like a week-old sprained ankle now. And now I have to use this stuff. My body tells me, hey, okay, it's like the force field's wearing off. Okay, I'll use that term. So I know, and I'm learning, and I'm getting into a routine with this, but I have never felt better. I am more active now since meeting Gary and getting on this I'll call it a treatment, or I don't even know what to call it, but it's amazing. And right now I owe my life to Gary and what he has developed here, because he I'm a very strong man, but my battery was running out, and that's all I can say. And there's, unfortunately, all the love in the world, when a battery gets to that point, doesn't always save it. So my battery is now recharged.
Amen.
And I'm going strong, and I only look forward to what this continues to bring for me.